Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're doing some project updates and starting a new renovation or remodel on the Viscount Vinson CycleKart. So stay tuned. So last month we went to the Huntsville Grand Prix and the Aston Martin. That was kind of its debut, although it had been to two other events. Debut as a completed car, painted in final assembly. Part did great. We were having some motor problems with it, so when I got back, we put a different carburetor on it and still have motor problems. It was cutting out at higher RPMs. Wasn't sure why. I'm suspecting it was a charging circuit. Could be getting some feedback. I'm not exactly sure. Anyway, I took the motor out, put my old Honda motor in there, and it runs great now. Problem solved. Although we don't have the charging circuit, not the biggest deal in the world. We just charge the battery up before events, which we do that anyway, so not a problem. So today I'm going to be working on the Viscount Vinson. I've had this completed now for 3 years, maybe 4, since we've completed the rebody and the re-chassis. So in this project, we're going to add headlights, brake lights, a new brake system to improve the braking. And I think I'm going to cut this hood apart and make this where I can open it. Put a piano hinge down the center. And I'm hoping I can save this panel and reuse it. But if I have to remake another one, because I'm a little worried that there's memory in this aluminum. I remember when I put it together, there was some tension. So when I take these rivets out, we'll find out if it boings out too much. And I may have to run it through the English wheel. Maybe that'll save it. Just maybe some touch-up paint. Anyway, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to cut... Oops, sorry, right about here along the belt, just a little bit on this side of the belt, right there, and then across the hood, just to separate this panel. And so we have access to the footwell where the master cylinder and the, kind of hard to see in the master cylinder brakes, all that stuff is adjustable in there, and it's really hard to access it with the body on. And I'm loving the Aston Martin that has a piano hinge down the center of it. And so this hood does open. My dad's Duesenberg hood opens. It really makes it super handy, and I'm really regretting not doing that and putting that effort into it when I built this car originally. So I'm thinking we're going to get that done, and I'll show you what I'm doing with the brakes. Here's the parts I ordered from Amazon. This is the same master cylinder that's on the Aston Martin. This is for a Suzuki CBR 600, I think it is, 2005. So this is like a Chinese replacement version, but it works great. We got a long, flexible brake line for it, and a brake light switch that just plugs into the bolt. You can either put it here on the master, or you can put it on the caliper. I don't have the caliper here. I sent that off to Mark at Renegade. He's making a bracket for me, and he's going to start offering that bracket because it's the master cylinder for these Chinese, kind of those big Chinese go-karts. I think they're a 150 Spider or Yerf Dog or something like that. Here's what we're going to use for a battery. This is my Ryobi lithium rechargeable battery, and they sell this on Amazon. I think it's like 15 bucks for this little thing that plugs into this. It just snaps right onto it. Comes with these wires. It's already got a little circuit on there for if you overload something. And this one's nice because it has an on-off switch right here, so you can actually turn the power on or off. Here it can put a remote switch on it as well, which I'm going to do, which is what this is. This is a switch with a all the lighting you need to make an LED wiring harness. You do have to modify it a little bit to fit the chassis, but it will work. I used it on the Aston Martin and on my dad's car. Here's the brake lights, again from Amazon. These are motorcycle brake lights. So the tail lights and brake lights. And then these LED headlights are going to be hidden inside the car. They're going to be, if I can get the camera to cooperate, behind the grill. They're going to be inside here, behind the grill, kind of, whoops, sorry. My tripod is going all over the place, so it's going to be behind the grill, so they're not going to be so obvious, but they certainly shine a lot of light. These things are super bright. We had them at on the Aston Martin last year at Wilcox, and since then we've upgraded. Well, I don't know if it's an upgrade, but prettier headlight, more period correct headlight on the Aston Martin. So that's what this was at Wilcox last year. They put out a lot of light, so we're getting the car ready for Wilcox, which is our next event we're attending, which is in October. So this is I guess the last full weekend in June, the 27th, I think today is, 2022. So we'll get started. God, I'm a little dreading cutting this thing apart, but it has to happen. So somebody says that anybody can build a hot rod. It takes a real man to cut one up. So let's get started cutting this up. Okay, so now you can see how much easier it is to access all this stuff I'm going to change. And I'll do the body work with the body off the car. So yeah, it didn't take too awful long. So here's the body panels we're going to work on. So I got to get the belts off and then we can start cutting this thing. Okay, so I got the body off, I got the belts off, I've got this line marked off where I'm going to cut. I'm going to cut this one and then across here, and we'll drill out the rivets to separate the hood. Hopefully this won't be too big of an ordeal. I may need to use a Dremel down here. I said I want to cut through the bottom piece of this clear reading door up here. So let's get started. Okay, so I got it loose and got it all cut off. I had forgotten that when I installed this, I put a bead of silicone caulk along that joint to prevent rattles. So drilling out the rivets wasn't quite enough. I had to run a little knife along there and cut that caulking. So anyway, the panel came off pretty cleanly. Cut turned out pretty good. I'll dress that up with some sandpaper and some other tools I have here. And we'll go get the piano hinge at the hardware store and get this thing wrapped up. Okay guys, so I skipped ahead a little bit. I forgot to record when I installed the piano hinge. I picked up a 48-inch shiny brass piano hinge. They come in nickel plated. Black, I also saw some black or brown ones at different stores, but the Ace by my house happened to have this shiny bronze or brass color one, and that looks pretty cool. I was going to paint it, but I kind of like that bright look on there, so I'm going to keep it. So I've drilled the holes. I did have to drill new holes. So the original holes that come in this are for bigger screws, wood screws. So I drilled out appropriate spacing, and I've used my Clecos to hold it in place temporarily. And you can see they're about every 2.5 inches or so. And I put a support piece on this side of the hood hinge under here, that little piece of aluminum there that wasn't there before. I'm going to keep the original support piece here at the bottom to give it something to rest against, and at the front over here. And so this is pretty successful so far. They did not have the rivets I wanted. I wanted these large head rivets, which you can kind of see. These are the heads that came off. They're larger heads than standard. And so I want to put them back to the original head so I don't have so much touch-up to do. So anyway, this project's coming along. So like I said, I'm just waiting on Amazon to deliver my rivets. And I'll probably reinstall rivets on these holes here, even though they're not going to be functional. And what I'll do is I'll clearance this piece down here with a large hole, so when this closes, they won't interfere with anything. And then the belts are going to hold this down. So when I put the belts back on, I'm going to put some springs in the belts to help hold these in place, just like I did on the Aston Martin, which, let's see, I guess that's on the other side, just in case you have not seen that video. There's the springs I made. They're just hardware, or Ace hardware springs. Some little brackets I made out of aluminum. And that allows you to open and close the hood without too much drama. Allows this to move and not depend on the leather to stretch. Most original cars from, oh sorry, my fingers are in the way. Most original cars from the era had those little springs of some sort to aid in the belts coming on and off to open the hood. And the belt's the only thing that holds the hood down, so it makes it more authentic. So while I'm waiting on that, I think I'm going to go ahead and cut this. This is way too wide. This has always been too wide for a radiator. I think it needs to be about half the width. So I'm going to put this back on the car and monkey around with it a little bit and decide what I'm going to do on cutting that. So that'll be the next thing on the remodel while we're waiting on rivets. Okay, so I made that cut. I just taped it off and then measured from this point of reference back 3 inches. That's how much I'm taking out, 3 inches all the way across. So hopefully this new piece will go right back on after I move this piece, which is the grill is off. So now I've got to separate this little bit of metal from the car. So I'll do that next. I got to drill out those rivets and then separate the aluminum. All that caulking that's in there. It's a great idea, but if you ever have to take your stuff apart, it makes it a bit of a bear. So, but it can be done. All right, so moving on. Okay, so we cut those 3 inches out there, laying right there. I went ahead and put the body back on the car just because it was getting a little bit hard to handle because it was lost its integrity when I took that apart. So the grill has been cut down 3 inches and it looks a whole lot better. Of course, this will get a little touch-up paint in there, and this hood probably isn't in its final position because it's anyway, it needs to be adjusted a little bit. But once my rivets arrive, we'll rivet this down onto that panel because this has got this piece of aluminum right here to rivet it to. So that'll be good. And man, this came out good. I'm really happy with the profile now. That radiator was always just a little bit too long, and now it looks a little more proportional. It's about 2.5, 2 3/4 inches from here to here. I think that looks a little better to the eye. And having this opening hood will make it a lot easier to access the pedals and the brake system, all that stuff. So we'll wrap this up here pretty soon once those rivets arrive. We're going to paint it and do all the touch-up paint. And we're going to take it apart again because I am improving the brakes and adding the electrical circuits. So that'll be up on the next part of this video series. So thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate all the likes and subscriptions. The subscriptions are real important to YouTube channels and whatever algorithm they have. So if you're watching my videos and you enjoy them, please subscribe. Get out in the garage and build something cool. Thanks, guys.